One of the great rewards of co-curating and co-managing a nonprofit polycultural arts organization for over 22 years now is the opportunity to collaborate with extraordinarily talented individuals and to celebrate their creativity with our audiences. So sit back and absorb the wisdom of Kamal Hans and Aryaa. Hi, I'm Jamil Khoury, the co-founder and executive artistic director of Silk Road Cultural Center. I'm here today with a very dear friend of ours who goes back many years with the company, someone we admire as an actor, a creative, a thinker, a doer, and really a spiritualist who brings all of those elements into his work, his persona, and his many crafts. Mr. Kamal Hans, who I will hand the floor to.
You're amazing. Throwing it right back at you. The level of consciousness and thinking and understanding that goes behind the work that you guys do is something that I strive to emulate in what I do.
So what is Aryaa? What does it mean? How does it apply to the work that you are doing?
So Aryaa for me is much more than a company. Aryaa Organic is the embodiment of how do we bring the teachings that we have largely forgotten back into modern life. How do we bring food, energy, meditative spiritual practices, not from India, but from around the world, and share it in a beautifully packaged, easy to consume way that is good for you. In short, Aryaa is something that takes the past, ancient wisdom, and brings it into modern life. You're taking this sacred journey to Varanasi. So Varanasi or Banaras is on the banks of the Banaras, on the river. They're holding these sacred ceremonies where you've got all these priests lined up, and they've got the fire going, and they're doing the rituals and the breath work and all these things. And you arrive. And so now the welcoming in Banaras, or a Banarasi pan, and it's a lighter, more herbal, kind of ritualistic flavor profile. It's not as intense. It doesn't overwhelm. It takes longer to savor. Right? There's a couple of different unique ingredients in it.
But it's interesting that you sort of drew this picture of entering sacred space and ritualistic space. And because that was going through my mind, as soon as I began eating this pan. Oh gosh, how do I want to describe this? I mean, it really...
It's different, right?
Yeah, it is. And it evokes, that kind of emotional response when we are connecting to the spiritual, when we are connecting to the divine. So
the reason we called it tea, not tea, simplistically, was people have been consuming it as a food item.
Right.
And now it's tea.
So to call it tea, not tea, I think is very accurate in that the not tea is the experiential that takes you to this altogether higher level, or this higher plane.
It's beautiful. I didn't even think of it that way. Gulkand is the heavier on the rose petal paste, so it's more cooling. It has much more floral tones. And so your tea now is steeping. And the ideal way to have pan tea, as we've experienced now, is you allow it to steep for 10, 15 minutes, and then the true essence of the botanicals and the herbs start to come out. And so if I have you experience it right now, if you take the cup, hold it in both hands, close your eyes, bring it underneath your nose, and inhale, like you would a fine wine, and experience the different tones. And it's almost meditative. You're saying, I'm taking in the quality of the rose, and you see the rose and the petals and an opening and the essence of it. I'm seeing the licorice plant or the fennel coming out of the ground, and I take that essence in. I've got the king of spices or the cardamom. I've got the mint leaves and the green, luscious elements there. And you bring all that in your mind and now take a sip. And just allow it to touch your tongue first. And then allow it to sit on there and experience what that is. And then allow it to go further. And as it goes down your throat, if you've allowed it to start from your tongue and go down, the experience is completely different. We tend to gulp our food. We tend to inhale our drinks. So now if you open your eyes, how was that?
It was wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Of having this.
I mean, this is very soothing. It is comforting. It is calming. You know, and I have to tell you, by telling the story and by framing it very much as a journey and sort of steps or milestones within that journey, it's really helpful, you know, in terms of how I'm receiving the pond, because it's giving me a context to consider and to look for. What do you hope Aryaa becomes? What do you envision? What is the goal?
What a beautiful question. I see the divisions. I see the fighting. I see the conflict. And I have the privilege and the opportunity to do something through my work, through the spiritual connections of bringing that forward and helping. It's a crime not to. Everyone eats. Everyone loves. Everyone practices something. So when you experience that in a way that's not preachy, it's food. It's something that's good for you. The defense mechanisms drop. So Aryaa is a bridge to allowing the othering to diminish. That's what my vision is, through health and wellness.
What you're really describing is what we would call polyculturalism.
Absolutely.
In that it's the interchange and the connectivity and the learning. It's cultural appreciation and how we are better as a result of those meetings.
Yeah. You're giving me chills. And that, to me, being a spiritual practitioner, energy practitioner, I've been doing this for decades, tells me immediately how resonant and coherent what you're saying is. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Kamal. This has been really a privilege and, yes, truly a gift to spend this time together to learn from you. And I thank you for the inspiration.
This has been a privilege. It's an honor. And we are joined forces to make a difference. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. God bless.